So again, we showed the disclaimer. Please read the disclaimer if you haven't had a chance to go through it. This is our workshop webinar, and as I indicated, the two most important things, in my opinion, as far as making consistent profits every session, is using the combination of the Grail Time Band Trader and the Grail Bts Trader, and I'm going to go through those settings for you. Okay, I'm going to start with the Grail Time Band Trader. So the first thing you need to do when you put your indicators on, and again, the indicators that I have on the chart right now, I have the Grail BTS, I have the Grail EMA slope, the Grail profit, the Grail chop, Grail outer limits. That's what I have. You can also put up the Grail DT. I don't have that up on the chart right now, but of course a lot of you use that. So the next thing you need to do is put up the indicator called the Grail band. Okay, when that indicator comes up, I forget what the default time is on it, but you need to change it to the time that you want this to create your OP. And so for the equities, I create that at 6:30 my time, Pacific time. Of course, that's 9:30 Eastern. Okay, so you go ahead and you put the time in here. 6:30. I'm going to go 360 minutes. That's 6 hours. This extra ticks, I believe it's defaulted to 1. I'm not sure, but I always change it back to 0, which means that it'll expand the band by the number of ticks above and below that you put in here. But I typically go with 0. All right. Just a brief recap, what I like to use. Obviously, if you're trading the European session, then you can use this in the European session. If you're trading the other currencies or gold or natural gas, I use 5:30 Pacific, that's 8:30 Eastern. Crude oil, of course, is 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, and then the equities here, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. For some of you who may want to trade the Asian markets, you can go deeper in time, and you can go to the afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at. And you can also use this to trade the New Zealand dollar or the yen or the Aussie dollar. Okay? So that's really up to you. But this is what I do. So first of all, I put the indicator up so I can see what I'm dealing with here. You click apply, and then right click and reload NinjaScript, and it'll get you your indicator. So if we look at the NASDAQ today, this was the NASDAQ this morning here at 6:30 this morning. Okay. The next thing I do then is I put the Grail Time Band Trader on. So I go ahead and add the Grail Time Band Trader. Now the first thing you're going to notice is I'm not syncing up. Okay, I'm showing a Grail 1 entry way up here, right? Not over here. Well, that's because just like the Grail Band Time Trader has its own times that you need to put in. Okay, I believe the default is 5:30. Okay, so if you're going to want to use Grail 1 or Grail 2 or Grail 3, you need to change your time. And the thing that I do is go right here. I'll just change the time to 6. Okay, I only need to do that once and click apply, and it'll make this change down here automatically for you. Okay, so now I'm set for 6:30. I'm matching my band. Okay, 6:30, 360, it matches my band. All right, so when this initially comes in, the defaults, what is it looking to do? It's looking to trade the BTS. All right, it's looking to trade the BTS. That's all it's looking to do. So if I right click and reload, what we should see on Grail 1, I'm going to turn off Grail 2 so we don't get confused here. Grail 2 is off, and Grail 3 I think is off by default, okay? So I'm going to apply that. Again, don't get confused. Grail 1, Grail 2, Grail 3, all they are holding places for this particular trader. So this is the Grail time band trader, and it has a Grail 1, 2, and 3. The Grail Bts Trader has a Grail 1, 2, and 3. The regular Grail, the very first one that we came out with, that's good for still trading the news events and pit opens, that has a Grail 1, 2, and 3. But they're all different. It's just like calling it ABC. All right. So we want this to sync up. So what we're looking at now is the way I have this set is that if I'm trading the BTS, it's going to have to be above the band and blue for longs, below the band and red for shorts. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and reload the script. So bear with me a second while I do that. All right. So here's our trade. Initially we had one trade because what it's looking for it to do is looking for it to cross the band and also be blue. And that was the only time that we could cross the band and be blue was here. When we crossed the band here, we weren't red. When we crossed the band here, we weren't blue. All right, so you're going to get a very limited amount of trades this way. Okay, in my opinion, this is not the preferred way to trade this. Okay, I just want to point that out. You can use these as additional filters, but it's not the preferred way to trade this. So I'm going to come back to here. I'm going to turn off BTS. I'm going to turn on the profit. Okay, and now I'm going to apply. So now what we're looking to do, if we cross the band on the upside and the profit is blue, it's going to take a long. If we go to the downside and the profit's red, we're going to take a short. Okay? So I'm going to apply, and then I'm going to reload the Ninja script again. All right, so here are our trades. We cross to the upside, a long. We cross to the downside, a short. We cross to the upside, a long. This worked pretty well today, okay, especially this last trade. So the question now is from Ferguson, so I'm not using the EMA on this. What I pretty much found, Ferguson, on this is if you're using the profit, not always, but most of the time, you're going to be above the EMA, below the EMA, above the EMA. Usually, not always. If you want to add that in, I'll show you how you can add it by doing a copy and a paste. Okay? If you want to add that into it, this wasn't added into it, at least not over here. It may be in the other Grail 2 or 3, and I'll go take a look at that. Okay? But that's how that is. To me, this is the preferred way. This is my preferred way to trade coming out of the gate, at least for the first 10, 15, or 20 minutes, okay, is the preferred way to trade this. You're going to get most every movement. This, yeah, Ray, this is the number one setup that I prefer, okay, on the Grail band trader. So that I know that's what you wanted to pin down. This is my number one preferred method to trade on this, okay? So that's it. My number one preferred method on trading the Grail time band. Yep. Okay. You also have other things that you can do in here. You know, these are all, you can add the DT in here if you want. I don't recommend it. You can add the BTS in here if you want. I don't recommend it. I think it's overkill. Again, it's not my preferred way to go. And I'm just trying to see if we have an EMA in here. We don't. I can show later how to add the EMA if anybody's interested in it, because it will take it. okay? But for right now, this is my preferred way to trade. Now let's go to Grail 2. What is Grail 2 doing? Well, notice I still have the 5:30 time over here. So again, if you're going to use Grail 2, you need to come in and change it to whatever time that you want. In this case, it's 6:30, and I'm going to apply it, and it's going to make that change down here. Okay? What can this do? Well, how is this any different? What you'll notice is the difference was it's this BTS. The BTS that this is using, you'll notice the settings are 1 and -1, as opposed to over in Grail 1, 2 and -2. What the Grail BTS means when it's 2 or -2 is 2 means it's got to be blue, -2 means it has to be red. Okay, 1 and -1 means that yellow has to follow blue or yellow has to follow red. Okay, so what would be the case? This is yellow following red, so that's a -1 condition. Okay, this is yellow following blue, so that would be a +1 condition. And again, this is yellow following red, that would be a -1 condition. I can pretty much tell you that if I turn this on, I would get nothing here. Let's check it. We should get nothing. So I'm going to click on this. I change my Grail band. I'm going to do the yellow here. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to apply, and we should get no trades when I reload this. I stand corrected. We did have one here because this was yellow following red. Okay, so again, this is not my preferred way to trade this. I just show this in case you're interested in looking at this, all right? But this is not my preferred way to trade this. All right, and then we have Grail 3 over here, which I pretty much don't follow. Okay, so it really is, Grail 3 really is not used at all, in my opinion, in the Grail time band trader. So again, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to go back to what the preferred setting is here. So it's trading the band, trading the profit, and that's it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reload this. And we're right back to where we started. Okay, so again, this is my #1 preferred way to trade. Now, some of you may be saying, okay, I see where we came above the band here and we were blue on the profit, but we were the same thing here. We probably were the same thing here. We probably were the same thing here. Why did I not get signals? I tried to keep this as simple as possible. It all boils down to what's called max arrows per setup. Okay, I have this limited to 2, which means it's only going to take 2 in the same direction. So this would be #1. We may have had we may have had one way over here. I need to go way back and look. Well, suffice it to say, let me just say this. The one thing you need to look out for when you start trading this is because this is going to remember. So if you had an up arrow the last time you looked at this from the previous day, that counts as 1. Okay, that does count as 1. It resets once you go the other way. So this was 1, this was 1, and once we go the other way, it resets. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There can be an occasion where you'll break above it and not get the arrow. Okay, if you want to see more, I'll just show you. I don't like to see it. I'll change this to, say, 6. All right, and you can see a whole bunch. Maybe, I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. Did I apply it? I think I did. Okay, so you see what's happening here? We're getting multiple arrows up, arrows down. But again, you should be working off the first one, not anything subsequent in here. So keep that in mind. If you don't mind seeing more arrows, then activate it. Then go ahead and make this change in here. I had 2. That way you shouldn't miss a trade setup. But you're going to have to deal with the other aspect of it, of looking at multiple arrows. So if it doesn't bother you, that's okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to our 2, and then I'm going to circle back to whatever questions there are left on this. I'm going to go ahead and reload NinjaScript and get back to where we were. So question from Ferguson: the BTS Trader is not on this chart right now. That's correct. Okay, I'm showing component 1 of the 2-component approach. Okay, remember the preferred methodology, the number 1 methodology, the one that I threw the gauntlet down on yesterday, and I defied people to come in and break the system yesterday. I hope nobody offended by it. I told them to bring all their bad karma and bad whatever and try to jinx it. It's a very robust system. So right now this is component 1. And now I'm going to add component 2. All right, so I'm going to pause for a minute, and we're going to go away from this and go into the BTS Trader, but I want to see if there's any other questions on this before we go. Ferguson said, why am I showing lime-colored up arrows when my Grail 3 is off? If you have verified, Ferguson, and are they double arrows or single arrows? Remember, a double arrow is a Grail. A single arrow is coming from an indicator. If it's a single arrow, and that's what it is, then you're not running the Grail band. You're running the Grail band arrows. Check to see. You're running your Grail band arrows, not the Grail band. You have 2 of them. If I were to put up the indicator called Grail band arrows, every time we broke above or below, regardless of what was going on, it would show it. Okay? Should you remove it? Yeah, I don't have it on. Remove it and just put your Grail band up. There's no need to have the Grail band arrows. The only reason it's there is if you want to use the mini trader to trade it. You can trade that with the mini trader. I don't want to go into that right now, but you certainly can. Just to reiterate, okay, in case you're ever having problems and you can't get it to come up, make sure that your times match up here. So for example, if you're going to start at 9:30, make sure it says 09, 30, and then 360, 0. You can't put like 9:30 in here. It's just 2 digits, 2 or 3, depending on your time. So, of course, if it was only 2, it would be 60 minutes max, and then 0. Okay, now Ferguson's question is, why would you not have the Big Band Fever up? Normally I do, Ferguson, but just for the purposes of this workshop, I don't have it on the chart. I just want to keep it. I want to keep the distractions to a minimum. I just want to focus in on what we need to focus in on as we go from component to component. Okay? All right, any final questions on the Grail Band or the Grail Band Time Trader before we move on to the BTS? All right, so now I'm going to add the second component to this, and the second component is the Grail Bts Trader. So I go in here to indicators. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find the Grail Bts Trader right here. Click New, and then click OK. All right. So here we go. Remember, I also have the Grail time band trader here. So that was trade 1 on the time band, trade 2, trade 3. All right, but now we're going to look at the Bts Trader. So it also has 3 components. All right, the default, I believe, as it comes out, it's trading the BTS. The EMA is off. Okay, the EMA on the default is off. So if you want it on, just click it on. Okay, I leave that up to you. I don't think there's a situation here where that filter is going to help on this. There can be. So let's just focus on the Grail 1 trades in this right now. I'm going to turn this off. Of course, that one's off. I'm going to turn off the time band trader so we can just concentrate now on the Bts Trader. Okay, apply. So this is how you can have 2 traders on the chart. Okay, so what are we doing here? What we're doing is when the BTS turns blue, we're going long. When the BTS turns red, we're going short. When it goes blue, we're going long. We're not looking at anything else. Okay, we are not looking at anything else in here. Again, you can filter it against the EMA. And by the way, you can change this EMA. This is not cast in stone. If you want to use a different period in here, just change it. Okay, just change it. Change it to whatever you want. I like the 120. That works well for me. Okay, but you can change it in there. Of course, if you're going to do that, also change it on the indicator as well. Okay. All right. So back to this. All we have is going to BTS. It's not being filtered against anything else. Okay. If you want, you can filter it against the profit, which I prefer to do. I can tell you, I generally prefer in the first half hour to filter this against the profit and the EMA. That's my preference because I personally feel that that gets you in a little bit too late as far as the entries. Okay, and as I indicated, a Grail 1 trade, especially with the BTS set at 2 and -2, 50% of the time it's going to come back and get your stop. Okay, so to me it's just harder to trade. To me, it's just harder to trade. Okay, so that's the default coming out. My preferred setting on this, I will turn off the BTS. I will turn on the EMA. And I will turn on the profit. That's my preferred setting for Grail 1 on the Bts Trader. Now, it's going to result in a few more trades doing that, okay? It's going to result in a few more trades doing that, but you're going to get some nice big moves. You got to be asking yourself, well, when we started trading here, we're actually trading right through the band that we created too. So, when we're down in this area, you may want to just ignore these trade setups or not trade them at all and go through your band, okay? But still, I mean, in the first 6 minutes, we had six trades, okay? This one lost, this one gained, this one gained, this one lost, this one broke even, and that one's a huge one. So that's what you got to live with if you're going to do this. But this is my preferred way to trade coming out, okay? And it continues. That's Grail 1. Any questions on Grail 1? Again, you can filter whatever you want on this, but my preferred, and the one that we're going to continue to show, is going to be the profit and the EMA. Any questions on that one? If not, let's move to Grail 2. So I'm going to turn this off. We're going to turn this on. What do we have on here? Well, we have the chop. We have our reversal bars. We have the BTS. Again, 2 minus 2 meaning blue and red. So we got to be blue, we got to be red, and we got to have the EMA. This is my preferred way to trade Grail 2. In fact, what you're looking at now is my preferred way to trade the Bts Trader. And that's what we'll continue to show in the room. So again, the combination is the preferred way I showed how to trade the Grail band time trader, and now the Bts Trader. That's my preferred way to trade. This is what we'll show. So I'm going to reload. I think I applied it. I hope I did. I'll show Grail 2 again. I'll show it again because somebody said they wanted to see it. All right, so the market took off. Earlier I showed we got a trade through the Grail time band trader. We also got a trade over here with Grail 1, which is off now. Now these are all your Grail 2 setups. Okay? Here. You saw all these unfold in the room this morning. All of these you saw unfolding in the room. Right? The first 4 trades were good. Ray says, do I like Grail 2 on the BTS Trader? I love it, Ray. You could trade this exclusively if you wanted to, but you are going to miss some big moves. Okay, for example, you would have missed this entire move in here. You wouldn't have gotten in a long trade if you weren't trading the Grail band. Now, again, you could have been trading the Grail time band. You would have got the trade with the preferred one, and you would not have gotten the Grail one on this one if it was off. But you certainly would have got it coming through the band. Yeah, I'll show the settings again for Grail 2, Mike. Those, I think, are the default settings that everybody has. I would be real surprised if they're not. All right? Be very surprised if they're not the settings. Now, this I may have changed a little bit up here where it says max arrows per setup, 20. You might have 12 in here. But sometimes when you get a long run, you get trade after trade after trade, and it's running 100 points, 150 points. This will ensure that you won't miss one. Okay, because if we would have had 12 of these arrows all on the upside, number 13 wouldn't show. Okay, so I just upped this to 20. It's very rare that I mean, you should be done trading if you get a sequence of 13 or 14 up arrows in a row. I mean, you'd be hitting it big time. You have 20. Okay, so I did change the default. All right, so what are the settings again? chop, reversal bars, BTS, and EMA. Those are the settings. Now I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions on the first two aspects on the BTS Trader of 1 and 2 before I talk about Grail 3. Ray's question is, so to understand this, I like the time band trader in the first 30 minutes, then the BTS Trader? No, I like them both, Ray. I like them both. I like the time band trader in the first 30 minutes, and I trade the BTS as well. Okay. If we're trading at or near the band, I'll either ignore my my Grail 1 on the BTS Trader. I'll either ignore it or try to turn it off if there's time. Okay. But you'll get familiar with this and you'll know where the signals are coming from. I have both of these on the same charts. I put both on the same charts. No, they're both on the same charts. Question, Arjun, the Grail 2 BTS Trader, Grail trading time I have 9:30. It's not on though. I don't think, Arjun. Let me look. Yeah, this is what you're referring to here. It's not on. It's just off. So it doesn't matter what's in there. That's just a default. But good question. It's just off. There's nothing. It doesn't matter what you put in here. It's just not working. 20B you're talking about, right? Yeah. You said if one of the problems is when there's two on the chart, you're not knowing which one is generating the arrows, you can go in here and change this, okay? For example, go into Grail 1, all right? And if you don't like black, just pick a different color. You have all the colors that you want to pick from. I could say lime, and fuchsia. I can spell it. Is that fuchsia? Yeah. So I could do that and apply it. Okay. Now you'll be able to tell. So remember, the Grail 1s were set to black and black, but if you're running two charts, change one of them. Change it to a different color, and then you'll know. Yeah, the way you tell, Ray, just look up here. Grail 1 had black and black. Grail 2 is blue and red. Grail 3 is lime and fuchsia. Well, I'm not using Grail 3 on this, so it doesn't matter. So you just change your colors in here. And, you can do that on any one of them. And that way you'll know. Right? Question from Ferguson, are these settings limited to the NASDAQ or could they be applied to other instruments for their OP? Absolutely. Works on every instrument, Ferguson. Every single one it works on. You just need to have the different times for the OPs, like I mentioned. The European session starting at 3 a.m. Eastern, every single instrument it works on. Every single one. Well, probably with the exception of the New Zealand dollar. All right, maybe that's the one that doesn't work on that well. But everything else, it does. Then if you want to get into what I call the morning sessions again, to reiterate, again, I'll deal with my time, which is Pacific. 5:30 can be all the currencies, gold, nat gas, copper. Okay, all those. I mean, you could even put up gasoline and heating oil and nat gas. I think I said nat gas. But the problem with those contracts are the spread is so wide in there, it's just, you can't trade it. It's too bad because they really move. Then going to 6 a.m. my time, it's crude oil. Going to 6:30 my time is the equities. Okay. So now, Kathy, you had a question and I'm not sure. Did you add the BTS indicator? On the indicators, did you right click, go to indicators, and add the Grail BTS? Grail BTS. I'm not following your question then. Are you telling me you added the Grail BTS and it's still not showing? You got it, right? That's it. Okay. There it is. You got it. All right. Let me show one other thing that's important. And you saw me do this in the room today, okay? And then I'll get to Grail 3. When our bars are blue, and then we change to yellow. In other words, we don't go red. We change to yellow, and we get below the EMA that I like to use. There's another trade that you can take. Generally, you're not going to get an arrow on this. Well, you could. I'll show how to do it. Is once you went above the EMA, you can reinstitute a light long, and then your stop is the other side. Okay, so you saw that entry today. We went up, I pointed it out, and it went up and made a new high. All right, here it is again. We were blue, we dipped down to yellow, and we came back up above, and that was a reentry again. Okay. The same thing applies when the bars are blue. So in other words, if you've had your entry here and your tight stop was under, you can apply the same thing. Nothing has changed. When we come back above, you can go long again. All right? Stop is out. Come back above, you can go long again. So just keep that in mind. I can't believe we're still going up here. They're really filling up the blimp here. Okay, let's talk about BTS 3, Grail 3. All right, let me turn off 2. Let me turn on 3. I don't really use Grail 3. Okay. If you notice, Grail 3 was just kind of an offshoot of the deeper retrace trade. You had the chop, you had the reversal bars, you have the Grail BTS set to 1 and -1, meaning what? Again, 1 and -1 means it's yellow following blue or yellow following red. Okay? The outer limits and the EMA. The problem is if you have the EMA on, it's going to filter out almost every one of these trades because when you dip down, you won't get it. Okay, and I'm going to show that. I'll show the difference between having this on and off when it comes to Grail 3. I tend not to run Grail 3, not to run it, I don't run it. Okay, but I will activate this one. All right, I'm going to activate it and reload, and I don't think there's going to be a single trade in here that we're going to pick up. All right, so again, as I indicated, not one single trade. we should be able to pick up trades. Again, I'm just showing if you're interested in this. If you turn off the EMA and apply, now we should get some trades, okay? We'll probably get a trade down here. We may get a trade here. And we're probably going to get another one in here. All right, so let's see. Apply. And I'm going to reload. All right, so here we go. These are the Grail 3s. What they are is picking up yellow following blue. And we didn't get deep enough here. Okay? There's one other thing you can do with this. And again, this is not my preferred method of trading with the Grail 3, so I'm telling you that now. This is not the combination that I use. But I'll show one other thing to try to pick this trade up when we come back across the EMA. All right, and so over on Grail 3, I'm going to turn off the chop. I'm going to turn off reversal bars. I'm going to turn off the BTS. I'm going to leave the BTS on, I'm sorry. I'm going to turn off the outer limits, but I'm going to turn on the EMA. All right, so what should happen now is when we come back across the EMA, yellow following blue, here and here, we should pick up a trade. And again, should is the operative word, so let's reload. And we did. Okay, we get lots of arrows, right? Because we have lots of conditions. And that's because why? That's because over here, we have this set to 12. Okay? If I had it set to 1, you'd only get 1. If I had it set to 2, you'd only get 2, but it's set to 12. And so those are your trades. So this is that re-entry trade that I talk about. When it comes down below the EMA, yellow following blue, and we cross back up, it's long. Come down, yellow following blue. I guess you did pick one up here, and then here. And why didn't we get trades here? Anybody tell me? This is a quiz question. Why did we not get trades here? This was yellow following blue. Anybody? Well, the number 12. We had 12 arrows set here. Did we get, and I pretty much guarantee if I go back here and get a count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that was it. That's why. If I change this to 20, we'll probably get some more. So there's only so many things. You know, I tried to do this so that visually it wasn't overwhelming. Did I apply this? I don't know if I applied it. But now we should pick up some trades back and forth here. And there it is. Okay? That's everything I think that you would want to know about Grail BTS, Grail Time Band Trader, and the preferred method of trading, the preferred combination. So I'm going to circle back for questions. Yeah, so if you want to try to pick up these yellow bar trades where yellow follows blue and we go back up above the EMA, that's the setting for 3. Okay, everything is off. We're not using reversal bars. We're not using DT. We're not using outer limits. We're not using chop. Okay, all we're doing is using the BTS with the setting of 1 minus 1 because that's yellow follows blue, yellow follows red, and crossing the EMA. That's it. Again, it's good for re-entry. I'm not going to show that because it's just too many arrows. I will point it out from time to time, though. So I'm going to go back to the preferred methods now one last time just to reiterate this, okay? The preferred as to what I like to trade and what we're going to show in the room. So I'm going to go back and put the preferred methods on the chart now. Grail time band trader. I have a 6:30 pit open time. I'm trading the profit, and that's it. And it's on. Okay? 2 is off. 3 is off. Okay? Back over here now on the Grail Bts Trader, the preferred method. Grail 1 is on. Now, Ray, you'll be able to see I have lime and fuchsia arrows for the Grail 1 BTS. Okay, so be able to tell the difference. All right, what am I trading on that? I'm trading the profit and the EMA. Profit and EMA. Over on 2, that's your default. There's nothing changed over here on 2. 2 is using the chop, reversal bars, BTS with a setting of 2 minus 2 and the EMA. And then 3 is off. Okay, I'm going to apply. Yeah, I am using the band. I am using. What do you mean by the bands, Larry? You talking about the time band trader or the big bands? No, the big bands are there. You can use those if you want. Okay, I'm just trying to keep this as simple as I can, so that we're not. What I find is traders get confused sometimes if you throw too many things out there. All right, and what I wanted to come back with was the easiest way to trade these setups. I show the big bands, okay, and I talk about the big bands with the OP and the profiles 1 and 2 above and below, and bands 2 above and below. I talk about all that. We use them, we trade them, but for the purposes of this video today and what I'm showing, I don't have them on the chart. But certainly put them on and pay attention to them because they're extremely valid. As we saw in the room today, several times we came up to the OP, we traded into the profile levels. They're very, very helpful, and you can trade those. But there's only so many things we can trade at once, right? So I hope that answers your question. Definitely using the bands, but I'm just trying to keep them out of today's equation so that I can concentrate on this part of the video, which was showing how to trade these two. So if you misspell something, you get a white arrow. Because I misspelled fuchsia, right, Ferguson? Yeah. All right, so we go all the way back. This was a Grail time band, time band, time band. Okay. These were the Grail ones on the BTS. And then we had, that's a Grail 1 BTS, Grail 1 BTS. Oh, I have 2 off. That's why. 2's off right now. My bad. There we go. Now we have the preferred. So Larry, okay, so now we're good to go on everything. All right. On which one, Doug? Talking about the Grail Bts Trader or the Grail Band Trader? Grail Band Trader, you can trade all day if you want. I mean, if we were ever to come down here again, which I don't think we're going to today because we're still making new highs, it's still going to be good. Yeah, they're just filling it up the blimp here. It's unreal. It really is. When they crush this market, they're gonna beat it unmercifully. There's gonna be something that's gonna happen starting probably right after the first week in September that's gonna put this market into a tailspin. I don't know what it's gonna be. Well, Doug, my rule of thumb is, I mean, the time band trader, I leave it running open. I mean, if you only want to use it for the first 30 minutes, that's okay. But I do run it open. I mean, we'll show it open because generally you don't stick around. You know, like we showed here, we came through it and we were gone. Okay. Yesterday, same thing. If we scroll back to yesterday, we were gone. Once we came through it, it was goodbye. I just think trading the yellows and trading, you know, both sides of the EMA gets to be too much after a while. That's why I really like, you know, the preferred combination here. And that's trading the prop again, like I said, the preferred combination is the profit and the EMA. And then Grail 2. And then the time trader. Okay? Any final questions before I wrap up? This is pretty much everything you wanted to know about the Grail time band trader and the Grail BTS trader and just the preferred method. Everybody clear on the preferred method? This is what I'm going to follow in the room going forward, Mike. Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and end it. Have a nice day. We'll see everybody tomorrow. I'll get this posted up in a couple of hours so you can check on the YouTube. All right, everybody. Take care now. And Alan, did you hear me on 4 o'clock your time? All right, everybody. Take care. Have a nice day. And you're all welcome. We had a really good day today. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.